So I have 3 slides. The next 2 are pictures. These are all the words. So our basic job is talent development. And most people think of colleges, and you have a picture in your mind of what we do. We're like every one of your businesses. Our whole industry is changing, and it has changed very rapidly. At the end of this, I'll share my aha moment. I just came back from spending 10 days in China. We have 3 partner universities there. And I'll tell you what they're doing that matches up a lot with what is happening right in this room and in this town. So first of all, our piece of the puzzle is how do we create talent? How do we help to develop talent for this region? We have 3 ways in which we do that. Most people think of what I've called Portfolio A. You give out credentials, you give out bachelor's degrees, master's degree, PhDs, postdoc work, what's called the Carnegie system. We also have 2 other ways. What we call Portfolio B is how do we create value in terms of talent development that takes intellectual property that the college has developed and send it outside of that traditional Portfolio A. A couple examples for us are what we have done in the area of unmanned aerial vehicles, remote underwater vehicles, where we are developing both products and services that are being marketed across the country and across the world, not for the establishment of a traditional credential, but a credential that makes sense in the workplace. Portfolio C is an emerging concept for us that says, all right, what's our role to take somebody else's intellectual property and manage the delivery of that as we push that out into the workplace. Now, the next piece of this is anybody who thinks you're going to go to college or get one of these certifications and you're done for the rest of your life is nuts. Okay, this is an ongoing dynamic process, which means we have to change the way we do business. It means we have to change how we view the marketplace. So we have to develop these new platforms, and that's what we are in the process of doing. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about this innovation center that we're designing, but I want you to think of the entire college as an innovation center, a hacker space, and a maker space. We have $150 million worth of physical space and assets. And I hate to tell you, we're like every other college, high school, career tech center. It sits unused for a large portion of a year, which is a travesty. It's a public investment in a learning infrastructure that helps to create talent, and we have not been able to figure out how to use that beyond our primary purpose. And so the last point on my slide here, before I even get to it, is our big challenge right now is, as we design this innovation center that we want to build, this complex, we're going to engage the community. And we're going to ask, how else can this be used as opposed to just being used for traditional Carnegie-type information? So here's what's coming. You're familiar with West Hall, which was a residence hall, which in reality, I ran that residence hall in 1975 and then came back here 20 years later. We're going to turn that into what I think of in terms of an intellectually intensive hub. We're going to build a new library on the south side. We'll keep the food center there, we'll keep a student center there, and we will build this innovation center. And the easiest way for me to describe it now is that it's technology rich, it is reconfigurable and adaptable. When we originally pitched this to the state, one of the things that we're actually prototyping this spring is, how do you create enough public-private space so that we can put teams of students, where the team's made up of people from Traverse City, China, Costa Rica, South Africa, England, to work on the same problems. Very similar to what Autodesk was talking about. How do we teach the collaborative skills in a global marketplace? Because our number one strategic direction is to make certain that our students can be successful in a global economy and society. How do we build that into curriculum and experiences? So I can't tell you exactly what that's going to look like inside. It's 38,000 square feet. It's a $15 million project. The library is a $7 million project that's funded by funds that we already put aside as a college. Total renovation of the existing core is another 20,000 square feet. It's going to be close to 70,000 square feet of space that should drive innovation across multiple curriculums and into the community. So we will talk to our faculty and staff and say, how do you want to use this? And then we're going to talk to the community and say, how do you see being able to plug into this? And I talked to someone here tonight and said, you know, we built brand new chemistry labs in 2004. They sit empty for half the year or more. So you bring somebody into town here who has a need for chemical analysis, why shouldn't we have an ability for them to come and say, yeah, we want to use that between midnight and 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 days a week, instead of going to build a new facility? We have to get better at that. We have to get to the place where we view that as a regional asset as opposed to just a college asset, and the whole state has to do it. We also are building new residential living. Okay? In the softball field, if you drive on campus right now, this is 140 new beds. This is better than I grew up in, and better than I had as my first house. Lockable single rooms, kitchen, living area. The wings can be divided. If we don't have students, we can put interns in, we can put workforce housing in there. But again, I'm viewing it from the perspective of this is a community asset, it's not just a college asset. So my ask to you is start to think about and learn about the assets that the college has. We have manufacturing facilities, we have automotive facilities, we have Aeropark laboratories. We have some of the best equipment when it comes to engineering technology in the state. Western Michigan, University of Michigan, Michigan State comes up here and looks at what we have, and they just like me, they go, how'd you get this stuff? We're a Research One university, we don't have it. Well, because we built a business plan, and we said this is fundamental to our factory production. So my request is, how do we learn to work more closely together? And the reason is, here's my aha from China. They live with 5-year plans. Okay? Here's what the 5-year plan is as it relates to 3-year technical colleges and universities in the country. They're going to improve the status of their faculty. They're going to improve the quality of their students. They will adopt as a nation ISO 9000 protocols. They are expanding the college's interaction with businesses, the college's interactions on an international basis. They are investing in across-the-board understanding of entrepreneurial activity and putting in place venture capital investments within the colleges for students and faculty. And their end goal is to change the model made in China to created in China. Different language for what the protocols and what the directions for this college are and this community are. We have a chance to do this. Other parts of the country, they're not thinking this way. They're trying to go back to the 1980s and 90s. We're trying to build a future. We can do that together, and we have to look at all of our assets and figure out how to make them work to the best ability possible. So that's it.
Does anyone have any questions for Tim?
The public visioning process, when do you expect that to begin?
We've got an RFP out right now to hire a design firm. Once they get hired, and I'm hoping that happens within the next 3 weeks or so, we'll have them put together a schedule, and then we'll move this through. We actually don't have $15 million from the state. That was misreported. The way state funding works, it's a very political process. We got a $100 mark in the budget that says we can now plan for this project. If I had planned to this degree before, I couldn't count any of those funds as our 50% match. Goofy, but that's the way it is. We have 2 years from October 1st this year now to go back and actually get the $7.5 million state appropriation, and we will bond the other component of that. The interesting thing is, we thought we would build the library first and the Innovation Center would come second, but because we were successful getting the planning grant, we can plan this all as one unit. And so we're really looking at that core to the campus, to the main campus now in terms of, okay, what does the library do? How does it interact with the innovation space? My best guess is probably going to be after Christmas before we start that whole thing in earnest.
Cool, thanks.
Go ahead.
Say, how do we have time, I guess, to figure out like, how we can step in and when we can be involved in things with you guys?
We'll put out public notices, and we'll notify this group and other groups, and we'll look for key players that we've already talked to and say, okay, who do you think should be at the table? If worst comes to worst, call my office and say, okay, so what the heck's going on? Where is it?
Do you have social media?
We're not as good at social media as we should be. We have some limited, but yeah, it needs to be involved in it. So we'll figure it out.
Anybody else? All right, thanks.
Thanks.